Welcome to Malpractice Podcast.
Hello, are you ready to get started?
I am super ready. Ready to get started.
Good morning. It's Malpractice in the morning.
Malpractice
and I'm
in
Sydney.
the morning. And I'm Jess.
And here we are. And Jess is eating a pear and it looks delicious.
We were just discussing pears are the most underrated fruit. No one is ever like, oh, I want a pear. But when you eat a pear, you're like, yeah, I wanted this.
Yeah, totally. No one is like, I'm craving a pear. But then when there's a delicious ripe pear in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. My mom always got these boxes from the company Harry and David. And they have the best pears. I swear to God. They're like so ripe and juicy when they come in the mail. They're like,
oh, in the mail.
Yeah.
Oh, she got bougie pears.
Oh, she got bougie pears. They're like Asian pears, and there's all different varieties of pears.
Ooh.
They're so good.
Yeah, I love pears. I always put pears when I make like an apple pie. I'll throw a pear in there.
Yeah. Throw a pear in there. Why not? Or like a salad with like blue cheese, maybe with pears on top.
Oh, I do not understand blue cheese.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I hate blue cheese.
Did you smell the blue cheese at the graduation party on Saturday?
Absolutely not, because I'll throw up.
Okay. My mom has a friend who owns her own goats, so she like makes blue cheese from that goat's milk. And she unwrapped it and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, that smell is a lot.
Was it gross?
It's blue cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. I've just never been into blue cheese. I never have.
Yeah, it's aggressive, but with a pear to offset.
Sounds like a
like walnuts and pears on a salad.
waste of it. I hate walnuts too.
You hate walnuts too? Oh, my
Yeah.
ideal salad is not your salad.
Mm-mm.
That's what I'm learning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My ideal salad is mozzarella, tomato, basil.
Oh, I do love that.
So cheese.
Cheese is your salad.
Yeah, but only mozzarella.
Yeah.
So Sydney did graduate.
Yeah.
She walked the stage.
Yes.
We were there.
Yes.
Causing scenes.
Mm-hmm. Big ol' scene.
Embarrassing her.
Wolf whistling.
She's getting hooded. Yeah, absolutely.
It was great. And then we had a graduation party at our house, and Eric, with Jess's help, threw this great graduation party. There was catered food. There was a bartender.
It was awesome.
It was the best.
Shout out to Eric.
Shout out to Eric.
Literally, Eric did it.
He put like...
He did it. I gave him some ideas.
Yeah.
And he did it.
He hung like cafe lights in our backyard. Jess made a whole separate dessert table.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a whole spread. It was beautiful.
It was so fun, too.
And the bartender was so mean.
Except the bartender. I was about to say. It was
Yeah.
fun, except... But at least there's a story about it now. So
There is
I was
a
like,
story.
Eric, you know what would be really fucking cool is if we had, like, a bartender. Like...
Oh, the bartender was so cool. Yeah.
And he was like, that is a fucking bop. Also, that sounds just like something
Yeah.
Sydney would like. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So he reserved a bartender. It's like 3 hours. It's not like they had to like buy the alcohol.
Mm-mm.
Eric bought the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
There's a setup. She was so rude. she had
was
like
just
no
so
joy.
unhappy about being there.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is a bop. And Sydney is so nice, right? So
Oh, yeah. I walked up and I was like,
Sydney is nice.
there's a huge buffet spread. I was like, have you eaten? Please help yourself to anything you want.
Mhm.
Fix a plate if you have someone at home or you want it for leftovers tomorrow. And she was like, okay. And that was it.
Literally so
She was
rude.
not having a good time.
And I asked her I asked if they wanted, if she wanted like an empanada. She was like, no.
Yeah. Just one word answers the whole time. I was like, do you hate us?
Mhm.
Be honest.
She 100% didn't like being there.
Yeah. My mom was like, she hates us. It's okay. And she was like right behind us. And I was like, Mom, she's right behind you. And she was like, she needs to know that we know she hates us.
It's
Yeah.
obvious. We should probably email them.
No, honestly, she did a really good job bartending. Like she made a solid cocktail. There was never a line to wait, despite like so many people standing at like wanting cocktails. There was never a line. She was really fast. The cocktails were good. She's very professional, just mean as a fucking snake.
Yeah, but being mean isn't professional as a bartender, right?
Maybe some people like that. I don't know.
People don't like that. Who likes that?
Eric was like, I could tell that you liked having a bartender there because every time someone would come in, I was like, welcome, thank you for coming. Please go get yourself a drink. There's a bartender. She'll make whatever you want. And they were like, people kind of thought I was joking because, you know, you have a house party and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to make my own cocktail. And then they walked in and her bar was set up and she was like, what can I get you? It was great.
It was really cool. I was like, Eric, is it too much if we do a bartender and a DJ? Like, what are we thinking?
I love it. Yeah.
He was like, so a wedding. I
A
was
wedding,
like,
yeah.
Well, no, it was super, super fun. And Eric's brother too, and his wife, Sochi.
Thor and Sochi. They helped a lot with the setup and
Sean
stuff.
Paul.
And Sean Paul, yeah.
I love Sean Paul. I was talking to Sean Paul and Eric, and I was like,
yeah.
damn, they're related.
He's great,
like,
yeah.
They laugh at the same things, like the same way.
Sean Paul and Eric have a lot in common, and they have the most in common with their dad.
Yeah, you can tell.
Jay, Eric, Sean Paul, peas in a pod.
Let me just shout out Jay. Jay,
speaking of which, yeah,
is the best person in the world. I think Jay is very invested in my pregnancy.
This is my father-in-law, if you're new.
Yeah. Sydney's father-in-law is the kindest.
Oh, such a sweet man.
Besides Sydney's dad, I would say.
Also sweet man.
The kindest man I have ever met. And he has messaged the podcast Instagram multiple times asking me how my pregnancy is.
Yeah.
And he was ill, so they weren't able to come to the party.
It was sad.
It was a big bummer. And he messaged again after already being like, oh, congrats, Jess, blah, blah, blah. Then he was like, I'm very bummed that I can't be there to celebrate Sydney and also the baby.
Yeah.
And he's just really nice. I love Jay. So shout out to Jay. He's also a big fan.
A huge fan,
He's a big listener.
When he told me he couldn't come, he was like, is Jess going to be there? I wanted to see her.
He's so sweet.
I was like, yeah, she's going to be there.
He's the nicest.
It'll be okay.
Shout out to Jay.
He's such a nice man.
Jay.
And he's feeling better, so.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah,
yes.
It's all good, yeah. Also, while we're on the topic of family and all kinds of things, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
We're probably going to cut it off for this season after this episode.
And by probably, she means we are.
We need a break, y'all. It's been busy.
Yeah.
Jess is very pregnant.
I'm growing a person.
Yep.
And you weren't privy to this experience, but Sydney was. This morning I just had to surprise vomit. So it's a real...
Just dash out and have some quick morning sickness.
It's awesome.
We need a quick break.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the new year. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
So I think my only real resolution is like, I just want to be more present in the moments.
Love that, yeah.
Everything's crazy and you're just trying to figure your life out.
Yeah.
And I just want to be super present. So like this weekend going for your graduation, I was like, be super present. So I was obsessively watching everything you did and like like having conversations with your dad and like your mom too. Like just want to be super present and like take everything in because after this, like who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen?
That's a good resolution for everybody, honestly. It's so easy to get like wrapped up in stress and whatever and distract yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I need to practice that more too.
It's super hard because I'm always looking for the next thing.
Me too.
And like what's next on my calendar instead of just sitting.
Right.
And being like absorbing what's actually going on.
Yeah. For the few days that I've been, I mean, I guess I'm not technically unemployed, but I'm also not working a full-time job right now.
Taking a break, yeah.
I'm taking a break. And for the first few days of no one but me owning my time, I've loved it. I'm not going to lie.
You need it.
I needed a break.
You're like switching off your body, switching off your mind. Effort that you put into all the work you did is also like you have to come down from those things.
Yeah. Like yesterday and this morning, I woke up and like just gently stretched in bed and then went and filled my water bottle up. And I was like, this is it. It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Taking
and, like,
some me time should also be on everybody's list.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I've been drinking a shitload of water lately.
Yeah.
That has been a big step for me in my personal wellness goals.
And your skin looks great.
Oh my God, thank you. It's part of the spray tan. But also...
No, I disagree. Sydney always says she looks great for the spray tan, but the water is doing wonders.
Look, I hate to say this, and I know that there are going to be people out there who hate me for saying this, but I've been like gently working out and drinking a lot of water, and I actually do feel a lot better.
Yeah, no, it's real.
The things that they say will make you feel better really do make you feel better.
Yeah.
You want to get into this?
Okay, so...
Okay.
Yes, this is the last episode of season 5 and the last episode of 2022.
Yeah.
Because we is taking a smidge of a break.
Smidge of a break.
And we'll be back in Jan.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. We love you.
We do love you.
Happy end of season 5.
It's wild to me. And I just want to shout Sydney out. So Sydney did like all of this episode. Sydney has a PhD now, so she's better than me. But also she
I'm not gonna lie, I had the outline for this episode already in my brain because I've been thinking about this man right here since like season 1 or 2 when we were doing solo episodes. I had this like partially written already in my brain.
No, but shout out to you for this. This was a ton of work, and
Thank you.
Couldn't be bothered yesterday. I had like, people say your second trimester is full of energy. They're lying to you.
Liars.
They're lying. And yeah, yesterday I was like, Sydney, I can't.
I simply cannot.
There's nothing in my brain. There's nothing here. It's empty.
And this is how you know you have a good partnership, because when you can't, I can. And when I can't, you can.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so thankful for Sydney yesterday. That was her Christmas gift.
I got you
to me,
always.
So thank God.
Literally always.
Thank you.
You guys are gonna love this episode. I think it's a.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's wild.
Today we're gonna cover an oldie but a goodie. Well, it's not really a goodie because this guy is straight up terrible.
Yeah.
But also, you cannot deny. Look at his picture. That is one dapper motherfucker.
I can see why people get away with things when they look like put together.
Yes, he's wearing. Okay, if we'll post a picture on our social media,
100%,
but if you're not driving or doing something dangerous, go ahead and Google for me a picture of Dr. Thomas Neill Cream, because the mustache, top notch. The eyes are definitely a little off.
Yeah, he's definitely like gonna murder someone.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, whoops, spoiler.
No.
I didn't mean that. I mean, he has murder eyes.
He has murder eyes. He has cold, dead shark eyes, and they're a little bit crossed.
Yeah, just a smidge.
Just a smidge crossed. Yeah, it's not a spoiler to say he's a murderer, because I think the title of the episode is going to have medical serial killer in it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So he was a medical serial killer and a practicing physician who left a trail of bodies across 3 different continents. Wait, no, 2 continents. I put 2. It's 3 different countries, 2 different continents. Canada, United Kingdom, America.
Okay.
Canada and America, same continent.
Same continent, yeah.
I have a PhD.
When I was teaching Texas history, the 6th grade history teacher did this thing where it's like, the earth is enormous. There are 7 continents. The earth is enormous. And that's how I remember it. And then they had the whole rhyme.
Is that to the tune of Bananas?
I think
Gwen
so.
Stefani Bananas? I think it is.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. What a bop.
I love that. So, Thomas becomes known as the Lambeth Poisoner. He terrorized London for years before Scotland Yard finally apprehended him. As his killing spree came to a close, Dr. Cream was sentenced to hang for his crimes. Thousands of people flocked to the Newgate prison to watch this infamous murderer's sentence carried out. Mm-hmm. And just as the noose tightened around his neck, he yelled out, "I am Jack." Now, if you're not super familiar with the time period, his crimes happened 3 years after Jack the Ripper.
Oh, okay.
So many to this day still believe that he was about to confess to those brutal and unsolved crimes, some of the worst crimes in London's history, those of Jack the Ripper. And to that I say, dun, dun, dun.
I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to cause the last little, like, what?
If I may, I think he was a drama queen.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I mean, look at the mustache.
You do love a mustache.
I do love a mustache. What is wrong with me? Eric did this to me.
Yeah, it's Eric's fault.
I think Eric shaving a mustache messed me up psychologically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that... Okay. Okay.
We blame Eric. It's fine.
We'll talk about it in therapy.
Yeah, it's okay.
So, born in Scotland in 1850, as a child, Thomas moved away from Glasgow to the Canadian city of Quebec, Quebecois, with his family. I think he was the oldest of 8 siblings. And during his childhood / young adult life, he worked as an apprentice to a shipbuilder, which means he was probably like an 8-year-old apprentice because that's how things worked in the 1800s.
No child labor laws.
Can you imagine an 8-year-old taking any part in building a ship?
I can barely imagine an 8-year-old doing anything besides going to school and playing.
Right. Like, my godson is 8, and I'm like, if he had to build a ship, we would be screwed.
There would be no ship. There would
Absolutely
be
not.
no ship.
Correct.
So his father, William, was a fairly wealthy businessman and a devout Presbyterian. So he was raised in an extremely strict church environment. Thomas occasionally taught Sunday school and sang in the church choir, both of which he probably did to look good for his med school applications. That's hilarious. Sydney wrote that. I think that's funny. Because he sucks.
Yeah.
He is very performative in the good deeds.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, people who knew him said there were 2 sides of him. And one was this, like, church-going, sings in the choir, and then the other is, like, an absolute degenerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say most of us are like that.
Honestly.
In 1872, he was admitted to McGill University in Montreal. That's in Canada. Shout out to Canada.
What's
Canadian listeners, shout out to you.
We actually have a solid number of listeners in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Canada.
Hi, guys.
Where he began to study medicine with an emphasis on pharmaceuticals. And knowing more about him, that is not a good combo. Now, you probably remember that Syd just said he becomes known as the Lambeth Poisoner. So maybe just, like, stick that in the back pocket of your pants as we learn about this guy's medical degree and his specific interest, because he gets real gross real fast.
Super poisony.
Yeah, he's very poisony. We don't love that.
Yeah.
He graduated in 1876 after completing a thesis on the effects of chloroform, which is very chill and not suspicious at all as an eventual poisoner.
That should have been an immediate red flag on his file.
Yeah.
To his supervisors.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain to someone that your degree is in chloroform? Like, I don't know. I just love chloroform. I just
think it's super cool.
I just think poisoning is very interesting.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good vibe.
No.
No. He's one of those people that we've talked about before who just got through the system because he looks put together and he's, like, smart.
He really looks like he has his shit together. But can you imagine this guy, like, handing you a drink at a party and he's like, hey, I'm Thomas. My degree's in poisoning. And you just, like, spit your drink out.
Yeah, yeah. And his name is also Dr. Cream.
Dr. Cream.
Which is gross.
It's gross, yeah.
And like, imagine, like, how can I be of service today? My name is Dr. Cream. Ew, you can't. I'm out of here.
Also,
Bye-bye.
he becomes, like, a gynecologist.
Which is almost the worst thing he could be.
Can you imagine your gynecologist coming up from the sheet and his eyes are crossed like that? And he has these cold, dead shark eyes?
Yeah, no. Dr. Cream? Immediately no.
With that mustache? No. Immediately no. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Just get it together. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Around that time when he was finishing his degree, he also becomes engaged in what you could call sort of an odd way.
Okay.
So he meets and starts dating this young woman whose name is Flora Eliza Brooks. Side note.
I love the name Flora.
Love the name Flora.
Love that.
So freaking cute.
Yeah, that's cute.
That's one of those old school names that, like, I could see coming back around.
It should.
Flora's precious.
And Eliza.
And Eliza. Good one.
Eliza.
Yes, I can't stop thinking of Hamilton when I hear Eliza, but I do like it.
Yeah, same.
So Flora's father, Lyman Henry Brooks, was the owner of a small hotel right outside of Quebec. So early on in their relationship, young Dr. Cream gets Flora pregnant.
Wow.
Which,
that's
1800s.
That is wild at the time.
Not an ideal situation. So what does Thomas Cream do? Like a total gentleman. He's like, I recently became a doctor, like yesterday. So I'll go ahead and give you an abortion. Because that procedure was actually illegal at the time. Imagine what it was like to be alive when that was the case.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait. Anywho. Thomas basically botches her abortion terribly, leaves her
septic,
essentially, to die. She becomes very ill and almost dies. The father is like, what's wrong with my daughter? The doctor tells the father why she's so sick, and the dad is pissed.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah.
He goes to Thomas and quite literally pulls a gun out on him and forces him to marry Flora at gunpoint. Like, walks him down to the church and is like, you're marrying my daughter or I'm shooting you.
A shotgun wedding.
Quite literal shotgun wedding.
If we've ever heard of one.
Walks him down to the church with a gun to his back. So.
That's how you make a marriage really last, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you really know that someone loves you.
Fear.
When it's a get married or die type of situation.
That's it. You have two choices. It's yours. The choice is yours.
So, unsurprisingly, right after their wedding, Thomas is like, this is crazy. I just got an offer to go study medicine/poisoning people in London, way over on that other continent.
Oh my God.
Peace out. Gotta go.
He didn't take her with him.
No.
He just bebops.
He splits in the middle of the night, I'm guessing so that her dad wouldn't see him and try to stop him.
Shoot him.
And shoot him, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
While he's away studying, he's apparently also partying balls as a single man. He tells no one that he comes into contact with that he's married.
As you do.
Look at that mustache. No.
And we wouldn't expect him to.
That's all you need to know.
His name is Dr. Cream.
I don't know why the mustache makes him... I'm focused on the mustache.
You should be. It's large.
Thank you.
It's really large.
It's so large. Trim that thing down.
Yeah, it's aggressive.
It's aggressive.
It needs to be trimmed. It's too much.
Aggressive is how I would describe his face. Everything about his face, aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah. So he's at the Royal Colleges of Physicians and Surgeons in Edinburgh. His poor wife, Flora, falls ill from a case of bronchitis, and she dies of consumption, which basically just means they died, in August of 1877. Flora also allegedly died right after cutting old Tommy out of her will.
Snippy snip.
Snipperoo. But it also turns out that right before Tommy left, he gave his brand new beloved wife some pills that she, quote unquote, needed to take to get better.
And remember, he loves poisoning people.
That's his favorite thing in the world, is to poison.
Yeah.
He also told her that all of these other doctors around here are quacks. You can't trust them.
Right.
You have to listen to me and only take the pills that I gave you. So he would eventually go on to be blamed for her death by some, and at a minimum considered a person of interest by everyone else.
I love the
like,
phrase
you did it.
person of interest.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want to say, like, a guilty motherfucker, but they can't, so they say a person of interest.
Legally, you are a person of interest.
We are interested in you in connection to what is happening
right.
here.
Innocent until proven guilty. However,
yeah,
you guilty.
Right. So while Dr. Cream, I hate saying that, is in in England. I don't know if he's in London.
He is.
He is, okay. Pretending to be single, again, had lots of affairs, told no one he was married, just a real stand-up piece of shit.
Just being a dog.
Yeah, just being trash. One of the women he's been having an affair with was found dead, pregnant, and poisoned with chloroform in an alleyway in 1879. It just so happens that Tom was ready to go back to the Americas anyway. Super sus. Also, it's chloroform. Also, he wrote his thesis on chloroform and was like, I love this stuff.
Right.
So, like...
That's like his calling card. He's like, I did it.
I did that, yeah. So, he ends up in London, Ontario, not London, England. Mm-hmm. Back to this other continent.
He loves London, though.
Yeah, he does. In 1879, where he sets up a private practice specializing in illegal abortions. I mean, midwifery.
Right.
Despite the fact that he does not actually have a medical license to practice in Canada anymore. He was charged under Ontario's Medical Act with practicing without a license and later pled guilty, but people kept coming to him anyway. They didn't have a lot of options probably, and people need help. Mm-hmm. So they're going to go where they can get it, even if it's to someone named Dr. Cream and has a giant mustache.
Correct. They're like, oh, this is the only guy who will do it? Okay.
One of the people who sought his help was a woman named Catherine Hutchinson Gardner, whose friends called her Kate. So Kate goes missing. And after a few days during a formal inquest, her roommate, Sarah Long, tells investigators that Kate had been pregnant and had gone to Dr. Cream to, quote, bring her right, a.k.a. give her an illegal abortion.
Right.
People go looking for Kate, and she is eventually found not alive, dead,
right,
in an outhouse behind his medical practice. And she allegedly smells like... You guessed it. Chloroform.
Right. She also, I read in some places that she had a rag, like, in her hand that was covered in chloroform next to her. And so, basically, the cops immediately look at Dr. Cream, because if somebody's found on your property dead, that's where they should go.
Yeah.
And Thomas is like, I was not actually treating her. I refused to give her an illegal abortion. I was treating her for senescence, which I Googled it because it sounds like an old-timey bullshit word, and it is. It means aging. He was treating her for aging, which I think just means he gave her cocaine.
Oh, okay. Got it. That makes sense.
I think she's like, I'm tired sometimes, and he's like, have you tried cocaine?
Have you tried it? And have you ever heard of chloroform? I love it.
Right. And here's a touch of chloroform. He also says that he urged her to publicly come out and say that a local businessman was the father. And when she could not locate someone to perform her abortion, she threatened to poison herself with chloroform. Like, she told Thomas, either you do this for me or I'm just going to poison myself. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I'm an upstanding gentleman of the law and I can't do it for you, so I'm sorry.
And this is all Thomas telling the police, obviously.
This is Thomas to the police, right.
Yeah, big lies.
And the police are like, okay, sick, do you have any evidence? And Thomas was like, yes. I actually just so happen to have this letter that she wrote me that says exactly what I just told you.
It's almost as though it's fake.
Right. So then he brings it forward, and Kate's family and roommates look at the letter with the authorities, and they're like, yo, this is not her handwriting. That is not her signature. Mm-hmm. They bring other pieces of her handwriting forward, and they're like, see? This is a forgery. Yeah. And the cops are like, oh, you're right.
Oh, good job, cops.
So
Never
my wildest fantasies.
What a statement.
So then they do this like formal inquiry, and Sarah Long, her roommate, also testifies that she knows for sure that Dr. Cream was treating her because he had given her some pills, and he was the one who told her that she could probably make some good money by blackmailing this rich businessman.
Oh, okay. So the plot thickens. Like his mustache.
Yes. He's like, why don't you blackmail this rich businessman? I'll help you. We'll be in on it together.
Got it.
Also, during this inquest, he says that her death must have been suicide by chloroform. Like, she held a rag over her own face.
And died.
For the purposes of taking her own life.
And who of the general public at that time would be like, chloroform is the way I want to go?
Right, no one. I don't think it's like a pleasant death. I don't think you would choose chloroform.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
So then a different doctor during this inquest testifies that it would be impossible actually for a person attempting suicide to hold a chloroform rag over their own face long enough to cause their death, because you would faint and then the rag would fall away.
And then, yeah.
And you'd be fine, yeah. Right? He also testified that there were numerous scratches on her face that indicated a struggle rather than someone who had taken their own life.
Yeah, you're not going to scratch your own face.
Why? No. That makes no sense.
With holding a rag. Yeah. No.
No.
Nope.
But despite the overwhelming evidence that Thomas murdered Kate, authorities actually took no further action to indict him, and the case was, quote unquote, never solved. A heavy emphasis on those finger quotes because we literally all know who did it.
That's such a shame.
Yes. In fact, one of his acquaintances even remarked, although he was blameless in the eyes of the law, even his friends believed him guilty.
Oh, yeah. He for sure did it.
No, he definitely did it.
It's not alleged.
Right.
Put me on the jury.
I'll convict.
One positive thing to come out of this trial was now everyone in Canada hated him. It's just hilarious.
As they should.
And they spread rumors that he was a murdering psychopath, which actually weren't rumors, but they didn't know, right?
Simply fact.
And he was forced to leave the country with his mustache in tow because it's so large.
That's his carry-on?
Yeah, just his full carry-on is his mustache. They're like, correct. Sir, you only get a personal item.
Mustache only.
Like, your mustache is too big.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how old Tommy finds himself in America, specifically in Chicago's infamous red light district, where he set up another private clinic offering illegal abortions to sex workers. I hate this man. Like, taking advantage of people who really need health care. Anyway.
Well, and taking advantage of people that the law is not going to do as good a job.
100%.
If something happens to them, right?
Preach.
Yeah.
But Dr. Cream doesn't stay out of trouble for long, and in August of 1880, he finds himself under investigation once again when the body of one of his patients, Mary Ann Faulkner, is found decomposing in his midwife assistant's apartment. When she's arrested, his midwife assistant tells the police that she was helping cover up a botched abortion that had been performed by Dr. Thomas Cream. Duh. Like, he fucking did it.
Right.
Dr. Cream said it was actually the assistant's fault And she's the one who'd been performing these secret abortions. And she's the one who botched it. And then called him to try and save Mary. And it was just too late.
Right.
So he's basically like, no. Don't believe this person. Believe me.
Right.
And my mustache. And because he's a white dude in the 1880s, the jury's like, that is great.
Yeah.
Thank you for trying to help Mary. Like, you're the best.
Oh, here's a medal, actually.
He walks free once again due to a lack of evidence and also stupidity.
Right. I think we could go ahead and say that that's the case, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it. Then in December of the same year, another patient of Dr. Cream's, Alan Stack, dies after taking medicine that he specifically designed himself, which is always a no.
It's not great.
Always a no.
Let's talk about this pill specifically. There's a lot of evidence from people who knew him, especially, that he himself was taking a drug that he had designed during maybe his like party days, which consisted of strychnine,
Jesus Christ,
morphine, and cocaine.
Who needs those things all in one place? Like, for what purpose? And wherefore Spanish?
And wherefore Spanish? I cannot imagine.
That's so much stuff.
Like, taking morphine and cocaine at once is like, what are you going for?
Yeah, what's the goal here?
It's like an upper and a downer and a poison all in one? No, I hate it. It's the worst combination of drugs that I've ever heard of anyone taking, I think.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right. This most recent patient dies of a strychnine overdose, and Tom tries to place the blame and extort money from the pharmacist who filled the prescription, Frank Pyatt. But Frank is like, hell nah. That wasn't me. That's this crazy motherfucker putting strychnine in people's stuff.
Don't look at me.
And the cops are like, oh, well, we don't. It's one white man's word against another white man's word. Who are we going to charge? Yeah.
And what do we do?
And wherefore Spanish. And no one is ever charged for this woman's murder.
That's fucked.
No one is ever even charged. Anyway.
Well, at least Frank wasn't charged. Frank was like, I didn't do that.
Yeah, Frank should not have been charged. But he also probably shouldn't have filled a prescription with strychnine in it.
Yeah, I mean, Frank.
Come
on, Frank.
Checks and balances, man.
Where's the question mark here?
Right. Then in April of 1881, a woman named Alice Montgomery dies of strychnine poisoning following an abortion in a rooming house that was a block away from Dr. Cream's office. The case was ruled a murder, but never solved. No one was ever charged for it.
Well, I'm charging him today. Citizen's arrest.
I'm ready for it. Of Canada.
Yeah.
So then he starts advertising that he has created a new medication for epilepsy, like a total dick.
Literally? Epilepsy?
It's like, it's not enough that you're targeting these poor sex workers who need help.
Yeah.
Now you're like, I'll take people with epilepsy too.
Trash.
Okay. In February of 1881, Mrs. Julia Stott from Belvedere, Illinois, came to Dr. Cream's office to obtain some of these epilepsy pills for her husband, Daniel, who was 30 years older than her and had epilepsy.
God damn. God damn. Whoa. That's a large age
It's a big age gap.
I'm still thinking about that.
No. You're right to think about it. And Julia, it turns out, is also thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, Lon Johnson.
She's like, I'm much younger than my husband. She's allegedly really hot. So she starts giving her husband these pills, and then she starts asking her husband things like, oh, do you need me to go pick up more of that medication for you? Mm-hmm. How are those pills working? Should I have Dr. Cream, like, adjust your
strychnine
dosage, or should I talk to him? Is there any reason for me to go down there? That's right. They're having an affair.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, Julia.
So Tom then is like, I actually have exactly the right medication for your husband's specific case of epilepsy.
Yeah, this specific one.
Right. And a short while later, Daniel Stott, Mr. Daniel Stott, Julia's husband, dies quite suddenly.
Shocking. Didn't see it coming.
No one saw it coming. His cause of death was originally ruled an epileptic seizure, or like natural causes, basically, by the coroner. But Dr. Cream, old Tommy boy, being the genius that he is, decides to send a letter to the coroner saying that it had been the pharmacist's fault.
Was it still Frank?
Right.
Maybe he's just mad at Frank.
And Frank is like, honestly, keep my name out of your mouth.
Out of your fucking mouth. And slaps him across the face at an awards ceremony.
Right. Oh, my God. So the coroner, can you imagine with their top hats and their mustaches flinging?
I hope somebody did slap him across the face.
Same. The coroner is like, so it's weird that we just got a letter accusing someone of murdering this guy, given that I had ruled it natural causes.
He should have shut the fuck up.
That's the story of Thomas's life. He does not know how to leave it alone.
Yeah.
He wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Murderers do that sometimes, and I feel like...
They always get caught. They always get caught after they do that.
It's going to come back to bite him in the ass. Yeah. So the coroner's like, that's weird. They dig up Mr. Stott's body only to find that he had ingested pills containing enough strychnine to kill at least 3 people.
Yeesh.
And police are like, so your wife is 30 years younger than you. She's super hot.
The police are jealous.
It's probably her. Yeah. The police are hella jellyfish, and they're like, it was your wife.
Yeah, duh.
So they charge her with murder. They pull her into an interrogation room. She, 4 minutes in, snitches on Tommy Cream.
And so would I.
And wherefore Spanish.
And wherefore? I would do it immediately.
It's that motherfucker right there. Look at his mustache.
They would come pick me up and I'd be like, let me take you to Creamington's house.
Let's make a stop on the way to the police station because I got to show you some shit.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
So she immediately turns a state's witness. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'll testify against him. Sounds great. She says that he seduced her and murdered her husband without her knowing. Like she was just carrying the pills back and forth.
Very believable, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it does take 2 to tango in the seducing front, but...
But at the time, you could be like, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
And the cops were like, I'm so sorry, ma'am.
And they're like, oh my God, and you're hot?
You were victimized. You were hot, too? Yeah.
And your husband was 30 years older than you? Are you okay?
They're like, are you well? Yeah. They put her in witness protection immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this particular story is that Daniel Stott's friends erected a tombstone at his grave, which reads, Daniel Stott died June 12th, 1881, age 61 years, poisoned by his wife and Dr. Cream.
Period.
And if I ever, this is before the trial was over, if I ever die under suspicious circumstances, I want you to throw that type of shade.
First of all, you don't even need to worry. You don't even need to fucking worry.
This is who killed her.
I will do that.
It's so...
I love drama.
Same. And so do his friends, clearly.
Yeah.
That's a vibe.
We're here for it.
Yeah.
Those are some good friends, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
So Dr. Cream goes to trial, and he's convicted of Daniel's murder and sentenced to life in prison because he did it.
Yeah.
But because we're actually only part of the way through this episode, so they didn't lock him up and throw away the key. Mm-hmm. Basically, he served 10 years of his sentence, and then he literally bought his way out of prison with some of the money he inherited from his father's death. I didn't know you could do that, but...
He's like, I have money and I would not like to be in prison anymore. And they're like, sounds great.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Sir, we didn't know you had money when we arrested you.
Excuse me, this could have gone a lot different.
Right. Why didn't you flash that cash earlier, buddy?
Flash the cash. So Dr. Cream is released from prison July of 1891. After the way things went down with Julia, people said his opinions of women became even more problematic than they were before, which is wild because he obviously hates women.
Has murdered several.
Yeah. Someone who knew him said, women were his preoccupation and his talk of them far from agreeable. He carried pornographic photographs, red flag, which he was ready to display. He was in the habit of taking pills, red flag, which he said were compounded with strychnine, morphine, right?
Yeah.
Cocaine. And of which effect he declared was aphrodisiac.
No, it wasn't.
So he's ready to go. In short, he was a degenerate of filthy habits and practices. That's what someone who knew him said.
That's what his friend said.
So imagine what the public thought about him.
Right. Basically, they're like, this guy's fucked up. And he's got even more fucked up in these last 10 years in jail. Also, who would have guessed that 10 years in jail might make you a little crazy?
Make you a little nuts.
One quick question. What does an 1800s pornographic image look like?
An ankle, maybe.
The sexiest ankle you've ever seen.
A knee.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You're going to love this. Look at this ankle.
A bit of lace.
Yeah.
Over a kneecap.
Like
an
her
elbow.
underskirts are coming out from the bottom of her regular skirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, gasp.
Shocking.
Yeah. A toe. Maybe feet.
Oh, ew.
Maybe feet.
It's probably feet.
People like feet.
Thomas,
I think.
Gross. I mean,
we don't even know it's true. We're like, Thomas, you suck.
You sicko. I'm not kink shaming you if you're into feet, but I will kink shame
Thomas.
old Tom.
Yeah.
He deserves it. So, what does he do next? Well, like a true psychopath, he takes a quick bebop up to Canada, buys 500 strychnine pills, which
500 is a lot.
Why did they allow him to do that?
Lot.
He just got out of jail for poisoning.
But who's tracking? I mean, who has the paperwork at the time?
No one.
He probably changed his name.
Yeah. And they're like, well, you're a white guy in a top hat. Here's 500 strychnine pills. It makes sense that you need those.
I think you should have a reason to get one, to be honest.
Like a single strychnine pill would be great. 500?
No.
Who needs 500?
Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
So then he takes his talents back over to the United Kingdom. During his early days back in London, he is living his life on the rest of his inheritance money, just being a huge creep. When all of a sudden, at least 4 young sex workers who are all somehow connected to him end up dead. Their names were Ellen Donworth, Matilda Clover, Alice Marsh, and Emma Shrevell. And in each woman's case, their cause of death was all eventually ruled to be strychnine poisoning.
And this is why I am so in favor of tracking people's movements.
Tracking people's 500 strychnine pill purchases?
Yeah, we gotta
'em.
track that. Yeah,
you might want to track
'em.
that. Okay.
You should track it.
Just a thought. But 2 of these cases specifically are how old Tommy boy ends up getting himself caught for good.
Arguably, he was already caught for good, and then we let him out with money, which is stupid. Should have taken all his money and given it to
charity.
Throw it in the street and say, here you go.
Flash that cash.
Yeah.
So Ellen Nellie Donworth was a 19-year-old sex worker who had agreed to meet up with Cream. And people had seen her walking away with a topper or a gentleman wearing a top hat. We know that Thomas does that. And when they found Nellie in her room, basically on her deathbed, she was able to tell authorities that a tall, dark man with crossed eyes gave her something to drink out of a bottle with white stuff in it.
Don't drink it, Nellie.
Don't drink it. Don't drink anything that anyone is like, you need to drink this. Don't do it.
You don't need to.
She dies on the way to the hospital, and her cause of death is ruled strychnine poisoning.
Well, that's so shocking.
Who knew? So then in the case of Matilda Clover specifically, her cause of death had originally been listed as natural causes because she had been quite a heavy drinker. There was alcohol in her system. She was a sex worker. They were like, sounds good.
Just, she died kind of vibes.
Right. But because he simply isn't very bright, Dr. Cream attempted to blackmail 2 fairly prominent doctors in the area, claiming to have knowledge that they had been responsible for her death.
Why would you do that?
Why would you even bring it up?
Why would you even include them in this situation?
Why do you need to be a part of it?
Why are you not in prison?
So many questions. And police are like, we didn't even know that her death was a murder. Like, we ruled it natural causes.
The police are like,
so now you're trying to blackmail people for it.
We investigated very poorly here.
We did not really look into this, full disclosure, and now we feel like we have to.
You weren't paying attention.
You're making us look into it.
So thanks a lot.
So police are like, this has to be the same guy that they are now calling the Lambeth Poisoner.
Oh, so the police are like, okay, because he accused 2 doctors, they're like, of murder, they're like, wait a minute. First of all, why would this be murder? We said it wasn't.
Yeah.
Now we think it is, and now we think it's you.
Right. Literally, when you would insert yourself into something like that, where it's already like gone under the radar, you point the finger at yourself.
It reminds me of whenever people say, when you point at somebody, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. It's like, that's what the police said to him.
All 3 of them are pointing at Thomas Cream.
Or himself.
Me.
And because he can absolutely never leave it alone, he keeps writing anonymous letters to people around town. And I think he just needs a fucking hobby.
Clearly. That is not poisoning people.
Just be an author.
Love to write.
He meets an American police officer from New York who just happens to be in town, named John Haynes. When he and John start talking about the poisonings of local sex workers that have been occurring, Tom offers to take the officer on a detailed tour of the locations where each of the women had died. Mm-hmm. This triggers a memory. What was that other serial killer who would do this? He would go and visit.
Oh, I feel like there's so many of them who do it.
I mean, yeah. We covered one though, and he would go to the taverns and be like, well, these murders.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, these murders.
Oh, it's the people who sat on Burke and Hare?
Yeah, no, not them.
Oh.
That's a good one though.
They love it.
Yeah. He's like, I'll take you on a detailed tour of these locations. Are you down?
Yeah.
And John, who is obviously quite creeped out by this man, takes his name to the detectives at Scotland Yard and is like, basically, he knew the places, the times, the conversations. This may sound dotty, but I could swear he was there. Like, he had known these poor girls intimately. Mm-hmm. So John, Cream is like, let me take you on this tour. John is like, you're fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go report your weirdness immediately.
Yeah. He's like, I know this sounds crazy, but this guy did it.
Yeah, I know this sounds crazy, but the guy who pointed the finger at these two doctors for no reason
had 3 fingers pointing back at himself.
I believe it's him, yeah. So the local police wake up from their naps and put him under surveillance and find out about his very frequent habit of visiting sex workers. Mm-hmm. Then they send an inquiry over to the cops in the U.S. who are like, oh, yeah, he served 10 years in jail here for murder by poisoning. That's so crazy that you'd ask that. He bought his way out of here because we have no principles or morals.
And then we sent him over to you.
And now he's there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
With all of this mounting evidence that includes tracing the blackmail letters back to Thomas because he's done, the police arrest him for the murder of Matilda Clover. Mm-hmm. And on July 13th, 1892, he was formally charged with the murders of Clover, Donworth, Marsh, and Shrivel, the attempted murder of Lewis Harvey, and extortion. Mm-hmm. Lewis Harvey actually ended up testifying against him during his trial. She was the star witness, saying that he had tried to make her take some pills. She had pretended to take them and instead threw them over her shoulder into the river like a bad bitch.
Yeah.
That decision saved her life, obviously.
I love so much the idea of someone handing you pills and being like, you have to take these, and you just pretend to take them and throw them over your shoulder.
Yeah.
It's genius.
I love that. Stealing it.
If anyone is ever trying to insist that you take pills, really insisting on it, just throw them right over your shoulder.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye pills. See you never.
You just put it, pretend like you're putting it up to your mouth. Whoop.
Literally.
Whoop. Because someone trying that hard to get you to take pills, they cannot be up to anything good.
They're not your friend.
They're not your friend. Mm-mm. So when they asked Louise to point to the man who had tried to force her to take the pills, she pointed directly at Thomas Cream and she said, "There he sits, sir, big as life." But I'm sure she had a cool British accent that I will not attempt.
Okay, good. I was like, oh, are we going to do it? Oh, okay. No.
No.
You can.
No.
No.
No. I won't offend the proud people of England that way.
And we shouldn't. No. Yeah, we shouldn't.
Thomas Cream's trial lasts 4 days. So he's been arrested. His trial lasts 4 days. So that's how you know it was a good one.
Yeah.
In October of 1892, and the jury deliberated for 12 minutes.
It feels like they just went on a bathroom break.
Yeah.
And they walked down, they're like, yeah, right? Who has to pee?
They made eye contact. Good, check.
Murderer, okay, we out.
It takes 5 minutes to walk out of the courtroom.
Yeah, seriously, it does.
5 minutes to walk back in. That's 2 minutes of deliberation.
Of discussion, yeah.
So Justice Henry Hawkins sentenced him to death by hanging. Less than a month after his conviction, Thomas Cream confessed to these and many other crimes that he had never been convicted of.
Well, I'm glad he confessed to the other ones, too.
I feel like that should be mandatory. A deathbed confession is all I want from serial killers.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. On November 15th, Tom was led toward the gallows at Newgate Prison with his legs strapped together. A hood was placed over his head, a noose around his neck. According to the executioner James Billington, Thomas Neill Cream's last words were, "I am Jack." The trapdoor opened and he fell to his death. Some have speculated that he was about to admit to the notorious crimes of Jack the Ripper, who had been a prolific serial killer in London only 3 years earlier, although these claims are, to this day, still unsubstantiated, and he was actually in prison when the crimes occurred. Some people still speculate that he was so rich he had a body double serve his prison sentence, and that he was actually Jack the Ripper.
Nah.
I personally, no. I personally think that he was just a huge dick and he was trying to pull one last stunt for attention before he died.
My mustache was serving my prison sentence. And that's what we know about that.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We hope you guys liked this.
Yeah, this was a great episode, and he sucks.
It's a good one to end the season on.
We will see you next year for season 6.
Yeah.
So if you have recommendations for season 6, send us a DM on Instagram, Malpractice Podcast, or an email, malpracticepodcast@gmail.com.
If you get a chance, leave us a review wherever you like to listen. We really love hearing your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yeah, happy holidays.
And don't forget, malpractice makes perfect.
Bye.
Bye-bye.